Good morning, and thank you so much, everyone, for joining this live platform webinar for the CYCLOPS application. My name is Robbie Heilberg, and I'm the CYCLOPS team lead, and I'll be walking you through a little bit about how the platform works and what we're building today here at CYCLOPS. So just to give you a little bit of background on CYCLOPS, CYCLOPS is a digital MRV, measurement reporting and verification, and natural capital monitoring platform that leverages the dClimate climate data infrastructure in order to create a global biomass and carbon stock model for bringing transparency, accountability, and trust to global carbon markets and to the monitoring and reporting of natural capital. And so I'll walk you through a little bit of this vision and how this works, and I'll also show a live demo of the platform itself. But please, if you have any questions about any of the functionality, use cases, or anything along those lines, please feel free to leave comments in the chat, and we'll be answering those periodically throughout the webinar so that we can walk through those one by one. So I'll walk through this presentation very quickly so that we can get to your questions as they come up. But basically, let's get into CYCLOPS right now. So the entire idea of CYCLOPS is to change the way that we measure, monitor, and report various climate finance projects, both in the voluntary and compliance carbon markets, as well as different long-term conservation initiatives that are looking at the way that we value and preserve natural capital. So it's basically trying to figure out how can we create both historical data for regions of the world that currently have no high resolution or accurate data at all. So this was an application that was first and foremost developed with the Congo Basin and other carbon-rich Congo basins in mind, as well as how can we create high resolution and high frequency monitoring for variables like carbon sequestration, detecting and forecasting deforestation, and then other key metrics related to forestry health to give key stakeholders from project developers in carbon markets to investors in climate finance initiatives to other stakeholders who participate in these markets, data-driven analytics so they can make informed decisions, and so that we can have monthly and more frequent monitoring for these projects to bring trust and accountability to these markets. So the mission of CYCLOPS is really clear. It's to enable scale, transparency, and accountability for carbon and environmental markets. And the way CYCLOPS works, and I'll get into this in a little bit more detail further down into the presentation and into the demo, is it uses remote sensing techniques and a generative AI model in order to look at different regions around the world and to model and predict how forests grow and detect abnormalities in ecosystems so that it can detect everything from changes in above ground biomass, carbon stock, and deforestation to give both a historical output of these rates in different regions around the world, as well as predictive analytics that can forecast future deforestation 3 to 5 years out for different types of REDD+ projects and ARR projects that are taking place in the voluntary carbon market. But when we looked at building a platform like this, we're really thinking through some of the problems that exist in monitoring and measurement for projects right now, and how they impact mainly project developers and investors in being able to accurately and transparently report greenhouse gas emissions and carbon variables in different projects, as well as to be able to monitor projects on an ongoing basis to make sure that credits that are being created represent real, verifiable and additional emissions reductions. So the first problem that we're looking at with this platform is costs. How can we reduce the costs that are associated with project verification? Many of you who are joining this platform are well aware of how projects are verified and monitored in the voluntary carbon market, but it is traditionally using a combination of manual techniques for forest mapping and for estimating baselines so that you can have the data available that makes up a credit. But especially for larger projects and even for some smaller projects looking at forest management practices, afforestation and reforestation, as well as REDD+ type of avoided deforestation projects, that type of work can be quite expensive in a way that is prohibitive to smaller and even some larger project developers, especially when upfront due diligence to figure out when projects are viable or whether projects are viable is an important component of making sure that there is full data at the hands of project developers and investors to make informed decisions about where capital is going. So CYCLOPS isn't a tool just to verify and monitor projects. It's really also to do upfront diligence on projects to figure out upfront viability, as well as to manage risk across an entire portfolio of projects in a way that is cost effective and that doesn't come with the burdens of doing a months-long monitoring project that can cost anywhere from tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands of dollars, depending on the scope and the attributes of the project. The second one is, of course, speed. Those types of assessments can be quite lengthy. They can take anywhere, from a few weeks to months or even years, depending on the size and the region of the project where the monitoring is taking place. If you're looking at, again, those carbon-rich basins or the peatlands of the Congo Basin, where you have very dense old-growth tropical rainforest regions, it is not possible to move through those regions with a group of people to survey those, in a couple of months in a way that will lead to accurate assessment. You need remote sensing tools and you need tools like CYCLOPS in order to supplement the results that we're getting on the ground, or even for the primary verification of those projects, so that we can bring projects to market with speed and cost effectiveness built in. And then the third part is accuracy. When we look at how baselines are created for projects, one thing that we need to be very wary of is overestimating baselines and making sure that we have a dynamic baseline for projects, because if the baseline for where a project is starting out is incorrect, or there's a wild overestimation, then the entire project is going to go downhill from there. And so CYCLOPS is a tool that enables dynamic baselines for projects or for multiple projects at a time, so that we can have increased accuracy built in to these projects in the long run. And the idea is that because you're relying on multiple data sources and you're looking at it from a holistic standpoint, you're able to monitor those results on an ongoing basis, as opposed to sending a team back every year and every 2 years with the hope that the forest is still there and that the project is delivering its intended results. And so those are really the three key problems that we're working to solve with a platform like CYCLOPS. And so that leads into the solution, which is, instead of more traditional MRV systems or digital MRV systems, where you're typically interfacing with a team that will do this work off platform or in the background, what we've created is an open platform that you can use yourself in order to manage a portfolio of projects and to see these results in real time. So you have real-time monitoring at your fingertips for a number of projects. And this can be used, again, for anything from upfront diligence to risk management across the entire portfolio of carbon finance or climate finance initiatives, to actual verification reports that our team can work with you in order to generate, working in conjunction with the registries and the standard bodies to make sure that we're supporting the long-term goals of a project. Because when we consistently speak with the demand side of the equation and buyers in this market, they are consistently looking for high quality projects and validated projects. And this is a tool that enables better trust and better accuracy over time. And so I'll show you the platform just in a second. We don't need to go into all of this, but basically the idea here is it's really simple to use. You don't need to be professional data scientists. You don't need to have expertise in climate science, data science. It's very simple to visualize the data and to understand the results that you're seeing. And we're continuing to build in better visualization of insights so that you can understand not just what's happening in these specific tiles, but why things are happening. And that's why we're proud to partner with different data solutions providers like Dabio, who are going to help enable better insights into everything from logging practices that contribute to deforestation rates in some of these regions. But basically the way that it starts is that you select a tile, You're able to visualize the carbon and forest cover data right there on the platform. You save that to your account, and then you can sign up to receive custom alerts over time so that you can track a project every single month. So that if CYCLOPS detects changes in deforestation or forest cover or any other attributes that you're monitoring across your portfolio, you'll receive an alert immediately so that you're able to take a hold of the different projects that you're looking at across the entire platform. And then on the platform immediately, CYCLOPS will generate a full report that a GIS or MRV team can use in order to begin constructing that baseline to kick off the project. And I'll show you this right now so that we can get into that. The way that the model works is that the data here is not really the moat. The main data input that is used for CYCLOPS, and we'll release our white paper in about a week that goes into much more detail on the methodology, is we start with ESA, Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2 as the main input, but we're then using a combination of both additional proprietary and private data inputs to increase the granularity, resolution, and accuracy of the model itself, as well as to incorporate additional ground sources and LiDAR into the model so that in regions where we have very good accuracy at 10 meters, we're able to get from 10 meters to 3 meters, and then working in partnership with project developers, we're able to get from 3 meters to sub 1 meter in terms of the resolution and granularity that we can deliver on specific projects. And right now, what I'll show on the platform is that we have very good coverage for parts of Central and Eastern Africa, as well as South America, but we're continuing to build this up into a global biomass and carbon stock model that will cover every forest region on Earth. But we're looking to get much more granular with the insights that we can deliver as we see demand in specific regions. And that's basically what we're aiming to do. We're building a global tool to monitor natural capital and to deliver better insights, risk management, diligence, and ultimately verification for markets for natural capital so that we can bring trust, transparency, and ultimately scale to the way that we finance different climate initiatives that are looking at preserving critical basins and critical ecosystems that are important for the entire planet, as well as bringing data-driven insights and analytics to important conservation initiatives and carbon finance initiatives that will be important for helping not only corporations hit ambitious net zero targets, but for helping smaller projects that are very important for the health and maturity of this market to get off the ground and to gain access to capital into these critical markets. So CYCLOPS is live. You can check out the website and you can use it today. And I'll bring up the platform right now so that we can walk through that in real time. And then we can go through any questions that anybody might have. So what you're looking at right now is the CYCLOPS platform. I hope everyone can see this, but basically this is the user interface of the platform itself. There is a user interface component to the CYCLOPS platform, and then there's also an API. The API can plug seamlessly into any platform or web interface that you might have built in order to essentially add a data layer to existing credits and to plug project data into specific applications across different carbon initiatives. But this is really the main web and user interface that I'll show today and just give some insights into really how this works. So I'll zoom out on the map just to show where there is data currently available in terms of coverage. As we've built out the underlying CYCLOPS model and the platform, we've been responsive to the requests and needs of different partners and projects that we're currently working with today in terms of populating really good, high resolution, accurate data in order to support those projects. But now that CYCLOPS is officially launched, the work that the team is doing in the background is to make this a truly intuitive global platform where any user can upload a shapefile or draw a custom polygon for any forest location anywhere in the world and be able to pull data either immediately or within a couple of days, depending on the attributes and specific characteristics of the region itself. But I'll show you the data that you can currently get today using CYCLOPS on the platform, and then some of the things that you can do off platform, depending on the specific needs of your organization. So we'll focus right here, just for the purposes of this demonstration, on a region here in the northern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. And the data that you'll see here visualized on the right side of my screen is first and foremost the carbon data. So sequestered carbon, above ground biomass, and then change in biomass. Right now, you see that on a quarterly basis. We can extend the data history out, and we have extended the data history out for some of these regions as far as 1996. And the goal is to extend the data history out for all of these regions to 1996 so that you have a historical time series data set for all of these regions for the purposes of that long-term management and diligence of these locations, and so that you have an extended data history for all of these specific Sentinel tiles. Right now, you see the quarterly data being reported. We can make data available for each of these locations as frequently as a satellite that we're using as an input for the model passes through any location that we're monitoring. And so that's why we're really putting an emphasis right now in this phase of the development on incorporating additional data sources, both from the sky as well as from the ground, in order to increase the frequency of the data that's being reported on the platform, as well as the resolution, accuracy, and granularity that we're seeing each and every month. And as we are able to train the model, which focuses on a number of generative AI and machine learning techniques that models forestry growth, we're able to get much more accurate with the outputs that we're seeing from the model itself. So in this region that I'm showing right here, we have been training the model now for well over a year, and we're getting much more accurate and high resolution with the data that we're seeing from the platform every single month. And that's the same with any other region that we'd be monitoring using the CYCLOPS platform. The longer that we're able to train the model in any specific region, the better accuracy and resolution that we'll see for each of these given locations. And all of that is supplemented, of course, by the different data inputs that we're able to supplement, as well as available ground data for each of these locations. So in addition to the carbon data, you also have the forest cover data for different REDD+ projects. You're able to visualize deforestation from the satellite images here on the platform as well on the quarterly basis. And then also, in addition to forest cover, year over year deforestation. So you have a number of customization options on the platform. So you can either upload a custom shapefile if you have a shapefile available for a specific project. Right now, you can only make data available where there is currently data available on the platform. So essentially where you see these green tiles available on the Earth. If there isn't a green tile, we would need to run that location off platform for you. But we're expecting to see global coverage for the platform, hopefully within this next 6 months, so that anybody could use this platform to upload a shapefile and be able to immediately pull that data. However, if you have a project that you're looking at right now or a portfolio of projects, we'd be happy to work with you and run that shapefile for you off platform so that we can make it available for you and have that data populated through CYCLOPS. In addition to shapefiles, you can also draw a custom polygon. Again, with the global coverage, you can do that for any region that has forest cover on Earth. And right now, you can only pull that data where you see those green tiles. So once I'm satisfied with the region and the specific locations, I can generate a custom PDF, which will become instantly available to me, and will have all the information that I need to begin constructing a baseline and getting more insights into the project itself. This is a basic overview of the reports that are automatically generated on the platform itself. But our team is happy to work with different organizations off platform to generate reports that are specifically tied to the use of specific Vera or gold standard methodologies, so that the data outputs are specific to what your project is looking for in terms of data insights, as well as getting more comprehensive and granular with the types of data that we're putting together. And so I'd be happy to share a sample of what that data looks like in terms of how we have worked with project developers in the last couple of months. So that is a short overview of the platform itself. As I mentioned, this is live today for anybody to use. You can go to our website. You can also please feel free to reach out to me directly in order to set up some time to talk about the specific needs of your project or your organization to see how we can help you. We have also made a free tier of CYCLOPS available to anybody who would like to use it. So if you would like to register for an account today to start using CYCLOPS, please go to app.cyclops.ai and request a registration token, and we'll be happy to get you set up with an account. That will give you access to all of the data that is currently available on the platform itself. And then we can work with you to maybe run a shapefile off platform to show you the types of data insights that are available with what our team is running off platform. So, yep, that is basically the end of the presentation, and I'll stop talking there. And I'll leave this slide with my email up there in case anybody would like to reach out. And yeah, if there are any questions, we can start to get into those now. Just give me 1 second as I start to pull up your questions, and we'll go through those. So we have one question here. How far back does the forest cover data date? Forest cover data we can get right now for most regions back to 2003, but it really depends on the specific region. So depending on the region and the available data, we can go back as far as 2003 with some of the forest cover data, but then it's really dependent on the region. For most locations, we have forest cover data going back to 2013 and so forth. We have another question from Misha. I'll put that up on the screen just so that everybody can see. So Misha asks, can you speak more to the interface between CYCLOPS and the registries and or their VVBs, both organizationally and technologically? So that's a terrific question. So CYCLOPS can essentially serve as a VVB that can help generate a comprehensive report that would be similar to what you would submit to a registry. Right now, we are actively monitoring and looking at and engaging with the registries to see how they plan to incorporate different, remote sensing approaches in terms of new methodologies that are being approved. For example, using the verified carbon standard, we recently saw in the last week a new ARR methodology that was approved by Vera that will incorporate remote sensing techniques as well as dynamic baselines and ongoing monitoring, which is a terrific thing because that's a really good use case for how the CYCLOPS platform is intended to be used. And so basically, we are continuing to engage not only with the registries and standard bodies, but with different exchanges and marketplace layers in the traditional carbon market or the carbon market as they exist today to see how CYCLOPS can be a tool that helps them operationally to scale and bring better trust and ongoing monitoring to projects. So Misha, I hope that answered your questions. In terms of the technological side of it, this is really something where a lot of these actors aren't looking to build MRV systems from scratch. They're looking to lean on the expertise of third-party organizations who can provide monitoring and data tools that can supplement the work that we're doing. And so this would not be a replacement for the work that they're doing. It would essentially just be a different third-party verification tool. Let me pull up the next question, but thank you everyone for these terrific questions. So we have a question: how does Cyclops deal with fire or other events resulting in a release of carbon? So Cyclops itself is just monitoring what is happening in specific ecosystems. And so we're looking to incorporate data that is specific to wildfire and wildfire impacts that result in a loss in forest cover and rising deforestation rates. But right now, the data that we're supplying is specific to the impact of deforestation in specific ecosystems. It's not specific to how fire or wildfires are impacting changes in forest cover year over year. That being said, we work closely with a number of insurance companies and large reinsurer and insurance carriers who are actively looking at risk management solutions for the voluntary carbon market and for other carbon markets across the world. And we're continuing to develop data sets that can be useful in insurance and risk management use cases so that we have the ability to help use this data as a construction for managing climatic risks like wildfires. And so as we're able to get more specific to not just where deforestation is happening and where changes in forest cover are happening, but the causes behind deforestation, we'll be able to provide increasingly better and more sophisticated insights to different users of the platform. One thing I will add to anybody who is listening to the presentation here is that if there are features that would be helpful for you or your organization to see on the Cyclops platform, please feel free to send me a note. We are consistently in the process of stakeholder feedback and continuing to integrate new features into the platform that will be useful not only to your experience as a user, but to other organizations across the voluntary carbon market. So we would love to receive your feedback in ways that we can be helpful. What's the maximum area that a custom shapefile polygon can cover? So right now, there is no maximum area. On the platform, I believe there's a limit for premium users, but essentially we can run that off platform if it's too big to be run on the platform. And so basically there is no maximum area for any custom shapefiles or polygons. There are limitations right now in terms of what free users can do on the platform. And so only premium users can essentially have unlimited sizes for shapefiles and polygons in terms of their coverage. And so we can either do that on platform or we can run that off platform and make it available on the platform if there's any issues with size, data resolution, or any other challenges in the specific ecosystem that we are looking at. One second, I'll continue to look at your questions. Are components of the platform going to be made available via an API? Yes. The API is already available to use. We have documentation available for the API. If anybody is interested in using the Cyclops API, please feel free to reach out to me and we can discuss making the API available to your organization. Another terrific question. Are there plans to extend the Cyclops models beyond forest cover? So examples, oceans, farming, crop farming, et cetera. And the answer is yes. We're starting with carbon because it's something that people generally understand and accept, and we're able to create really high resolution, accurate models around it. But we have plans to extend beyond carbon into methane, blue carbon ecosystems, and then regenerative agriculture. And the team at dClimate, which is separate from the work that we're doing right now, is doing work on commodities and regenerative agriculture in a way that could easily plug into the insights that we're producing through the Cyclops application. But one of the things that is exciting is that Cyclops is already compatible with blue carbon ecosystems and mangroves, for example. So we're not just limited to old growth tropical rainforest or afforestation projects. We have already run data for a blue carbon project. And we're continuing to look at ways that we can expand the CYCLOPS models beyond just forest cover, carbon sequestration, carbon stock, and biomass, so that we have the ability to look at a wide range of ecosystems that sequester carbon. What generative AI models are being utilized in the back end? Are these primarily being used for predictive modeling? So that's a great question. So the way that we think about AI, and our teams have been working with AI for a number of years. We didn't just get in on the hype in the last year with ChatGPT becoming popular. It's not just simple data in, data out. We're using generative AI techniques that are modeling how the forests grow for the purposes of detecting abnormalities that lead to forest degradation, and being able to create both the historical data that you're seeing on the platform as well as those predictive analytics. And that's how we're able to model not only how ecosystems have changed in the last 30 years, but how they're likely to change in the next 3, 5, and 10 years. And that's really important because not only do some of these regions that we're looking at have no high resolution data that is available for project developers to utilize, but they don't have any forecasting or predictive analytics that enable investors to look at the long-term outlook in order to make informed decisions. And so having those predictive analytics that we make available is really important. And we're going to continue to build out those models so that we can get increasingly more sophisticated and granular with those insights. But we're really proud of the model that we built so far and the coverage that it has over the entire world. I will bring up this comment from our friend John Ellison here, who has some good resources on VVBs and some of the work that Vera is doing. So I encourage you, if you want resources, and we will post this after the webinar is completed, to please look at those resources to learn more about how VVBs engage with projects as it relates to accreditation and verification, and the different organizations that are approved to do that. But essentially, he's correct. There is right now a huge bottleneck in the market. And part of what we're trying to do is to help solve that bottleneck so that we can create access not only to capital, but to different outcomes that help the environment in the long term using advanced data analytics. We have a question for locations that are not yet on the platform. What is the turnaround time to get the results? That's a great question. It really depends, again, on the specific attributes and challenges with the region and ecosystem itself. So it can be really as little as 24 hours, 48 hours, to maybe a week plus. It really depends both on the challenges of the region, whether or not additional data sources or inputs are needed in order to get the accuracy and resolution that we're accustomed with most of the locations that we're monitoring across the world, as well as just considerations like team bandwidth and the ability to turn those around quickly. But the answer is that it is traditionally no more than a week, and we're happy to work closely with you to make sure that there's not a huge lag time in order to get those results back to you, and to work closely with your organization to make sure that we can be attuned to the projects that you're working on. Was pricing for the platform going to look like? As I mentioned, there's both a free and premium tier of the platform. If there are any project developers here who are representing or working on smaller projects who are looking for access to capital and better data analytics and the ability to generate dynamic baselines and ongoing monitoring for projects, we would love to work with you, and we'd love to make a tool like this available for either free of charge, depending on how many hectares you're monitoring, for very little cost at all. The entire idea behind CYCLOPS was really to lower the barriers to entry in terms of data and data integrity, quality, and standards in this market, so that smaller project developers and conservation initiatives can have access to carbon markets. And so that's really why the free tier exists. And we'd also just be happy to work with you, again, off platform, to see if we can run projects for you and to work with you on any verification considerations that your project needs. For larger organizations that are managing a portfolio of projects and that are looking at anything from hundreds of thousands of hectares to more, or looking to do verification and long-term monitoring for projects, we do have a pricing tier. So please feel free to reach out to me, and we can work directly with you in your organization to find a tier that works specifically for what you're looking to use CYCLOPS for. But we are ready to start onboarding projects today. And we have been working with project developers and investors over the past couple of months as we have been getting ready to launch the platform. So please reach out. So it looks like we don't have any more questions. I can give maybe 1 or 2 minutes if anybody has any final thoughts, but really want to take the time to thank everybody. We have one more question from John. The website describes CYCLOPS as an open platform. In what ways is it open? If anybody wants to use the platform, it is open for you to use. The way that digital MRV systems traditionally operate is that you send a shapefile, it's run off platform, and you get the results. You traditionally don't have access to see how that is working through a platform that is open for you to use. So anybody who would like to sign up for CYCLOPS, you can do so today. We'll send you a registration token, and that can be at your disposal to have data on all the projects that are currently on the platform. The other component of this is that we really have decentralization and open data techniques in mind in terms of how we're building this in the long term. And so it's not just one data source, but it's also the ability to incorporate a combination of private, proprietary, commercial, and public data sources so that we can have multiple ways to look at different ecosystems, especially since different ecosystems, especially when you're looking at South America, which has difficulties with deep cloud cover variation, can be quite challenging to monitor accurately using just Sentinel-1 and Sentinel-2, as an input. And so that's why we really do lean on the open data infrastructure that dClimate has built, which plugs into a number of different data sources that come from both the ground, as well as different MRV solutions providers and satellite and geospatial providers that enable CYCLOPS to be a platform that's not just open in terms of the user experience, but open in terms of the data that we're using to make this available. Additionally, we're going to continue to work to make as many aspects of the methodology as well as the techniques open source and open to the public, so people can see how we're coming to these conclusions, and to be as transparent as possible about how the CYCLOPS platform works under the surface, so that we can really foster that idea of transparency and trust in terms of how we're bringing data insights to these markets. So as I said, we'll be releasing a white paper shortly. I encourage everyone to take a look and provide us feedback, because this is where we're starting. CYCLOPS is the result of 2+ years of really hard work by the remote sensing and carbon analytics team, but it's not where we stop. And there's a lot more work to do, both as a team as well as a community, to continue to make this a really powerful tool for bringing scale and trust to these markets on a global scale. And then Bruno asked, do you need a token to register. That's correct. The only reason to do that is just to make sure that the platform doesn't get overrun with data requests. But anybody who wants a registration token will give a registration token. Just please reach out and we'll get you set up on the platform. Perfect. Are there defined confidence intervals for the forest cover and above ground biomass estimates? This would actually be a better question to forward to our carbon analytics team, just because they can give you a more in-depth answer than I can. Manzi, if it's okay, if we can connect over email, I can send that to you, and then we can also publish that on our social media channels, just so that everyone can see the response. But just want to make sure that I get you both the correct information as well as an in-depth response to your question. And it's a really good one. So thank you so much for asking. Terrific. Well, I really appreciate, again, everybody coming out on what's a morning here in the US, an afternoon and an evening elsewhere to see the CYCLOPS platform in action. I would highly encourage anyone who would like to start using this today to please reach out so that we can get you set up with an account. And anybody who has, a project or is looking for better data analytics and analysis on different projects that you're monitoring, we would love to start working with you today. My email is on the screen, and we're excited about the path forward together. So thank you so much and have a great day, everybody.